Okay, so I'm going to talk you through PowerPoint Presenter Coach, which you can use to rehearse basically any presentation, but it obviously works best if you have a PowerPoint presentation itself. So I use this, typically I'll record something I'm going to present as an audio file or as a video file like I'm doing now, and watch it back or listen to it back depending on where I am and how convenient it would be to do that. But I've tried using Presenter Coach a number of times just to mix up the kind of approach that I use. So instead of a video or audio, sometimes I'll use Presenter Coach. And so it's basically AI telling me how I'm going with my presentation. So you can take some of it with a grain of salt, but I find it very useful to make sure that I'm actually precise in what I want to say. So the main thing is just the practice and the rehearsal, and of course the feedback you get is secondary. So I'll be talking you through a presentation that I gave for the Australian Association for the Teachers of English. And I'll show you the kind of rehearsal that I did, and I even used Presenter Coach during the actual presentation. So you'll be able to see the types of data that Presenter Coach can give you, but also a little bit of an idea of how you might improve across sort of preparations and why this might be worth doing, whether you're a teacher, a student, or anyone making any kind of presentation to a public audience. Okay, so this is PowerPoint on the PC. So basically we're going to go across to slideshow, of course, because we're going to try and present. We're going to click Rehearse with Coach. You'll see it pop up down here. Show real-time feedback is an option. You can do that or not. We'll click through, so I'm going to acknowledge that I'm on the lands of the Wurundjeri people. And this presentation will focus a lot on marginalia. So I'm going to pause here and give you time to read this slide. So these are the kind of things that I'd be saying in my presentation. And you can see we'll pause our session and we'll try and get some feedback, I hope. This is our rehearsal report. You can see what it looks like. We're looking for repetitive language. It tells you how long, how many slides, your pace, and your pace over time, your pitch as well. This obviously isn't that interesting because it was such a brief, short little attempt, but I'm now, of course, cut now to another presentation to give you some ideas of what it might reveal. Okay, so this is a summary. On the left is my practice. So I just sat in front of my phone, I flipped through the slides, I said what I was going to say. It gives you a bit of an idea of what that might look like. So in the practice, it was only 17:30, so it was a very short little presentation because I was basically just doing the rough outline. You can see the fillers are basically the same. I was a lot more ummy, obviously on the left in the practice, and I said actually a lot because that was me. That's one of my filler words that I use when I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to go next. So I said something like, actually, what this shows is X, Y, Z. On the right, you can see I improved a little bit. Actually was gone. So the rehearsal helped. Of course, it was much longer in the actual one because I was responding to comments and feedback from questions from the audience as I went along. Repetitive language, sort of, kind of, basically. So you can see basically is consistent, sort of, and kind of is my way of summarizing for the audience. So that's something I'll need to work on to get rid of. Pace on the left was good. Pace on the right was also good, but a little bit faster, not too much faster, thankfully. Originality and inclusiveness were good both times. On the draft, it told me that at one point I read out the slide that I showed you about marginalia, and it said, don't just read out slides. So in the actual one, I paused and just let the audience read it, because of course that's how the brain works. You can't do two things at once. Pace was pretty good. As you can see, a lot more compact on the right one because I was speaking more quickly, but it was relatively routine, and I always try and speed up and slow down, as you can hear as I go. Pitch, it was too monotone in the practice, which doesn't sound too surprising because I was, of course, talking to an empty room and holding my phone and sitting down and relaxed, whereas on the right I was standing and emoting and using my hands as well. So just, target, I guess I'm low to the bottom, but that's probably part of being Australian, perhaps. Some speech refinements, so obviously spoken text you're able to repair and fix up what you say, but these give you an idea of how I was speaking and what things I was missing. And that's a kind of summary of what you will get when you're using Presenter Coach. All right, so that's how you use Presenter Coach. That's how I use Presenter Coach. It gives you some ideas of how you might be able to use it, and I hope you find it useful next time you're going to present something to an audience. Cheers, good luck.